Hi everyone, I'm Susan Birch and welcome to another Health Detective podcast. And today I'm thrilled to be joined with my friend Janet Stott once again to talk about Homegrown Primal and the wonderful organ supplements that she provides us with. Janet, thanks for coming along.
Thanks, Susan. It's always just a pleasure to spend some time with you, and your wealth of knowledge is always enviable.
Oh, thank you. I think we're all working hard in the same space to do the same thing. We're all looking for solutions, and we're all looking for, the right way to improve our health.
It's nice to be advocates in this space too, and offer really good solutions for people who are stuck and who are looking for, alternatives to the mainstream narrative around food and health. Yeah, so I'm really happy to be here too.
Oh, that's great. So I wanted to talk to you about your supplements again. So as you know, I'm a big advocate of your supplements. And the reason for that is because I try and I like to come with a food-based philosophy. And, without a doubt, there are times when other supplements are really helpful. And magnesium immediately comes to mind, where magnesium supplements can be really useful. But overall, if we can get our nutrition from our food, that's a really good thing.
I'm in the middle of going through a Primal Body, Primal Mind, which is Nora Gedgaudas' book.
Yes.
And we're basing our next 9 weeks on going through her book, and I'm writing blogs per chapter. And the more I dive into other people's writing, the more the ancestral way of living really, really does mean so much to me, and how I want to present us as a company underneath that umbrella, because it is real food. If you think about our ancestors and what they used to eat and how they thrived, there was no modern day diseases, there was no obesity or diabetes, and even if you look at the tribes that are quoted today, they're healthy and they go for animal foods, and I don't think the Hadza have lots of honey and the occasional berry that's in season. It just seems to be so logical for me that that's how we need to promote food and nutrition.
Yeah, well, I think, obviously times have changed a lot in our modern food environment, and we've got, food availability 24/7. Whereas we've always lived in a cycle, we have a circadian rhythm, each day, but we also have this kind of food cycle where, you have times where there's not as much food available. You have, late summer and autumn where you have, all your fruits and those higher glycemic foods available, which fatten you up literally to get you through the leaner winter months. And our bodies are used to going through this cycle all the time. But now we just have this constant supply of food. A lot of it, our bodies don't even recognize as food, such like all the seed oils that are added to everything that we eat, all the chemicals that are added to as food preservatives and enhanced taste. And so there's not a lot of nutrition in the food that we eat. There can be a lack of nutrition in the food that we eat if we're not.
I think if you look at what our national food guidelines, even if you go into what the governments all around the world, the first world people, that's us, in the Western world, they still really promote grains and seeds and legumes. 55% of what we are supposed to eat is grains. Like, that's at the bottom of the food pyramid, and it's killing us, But behind that is the big food, these big corporations that are driven by money, and they pay for that food pyramid position. That to me is so corrupt and so wrong. And unless you're an intelligent human and research where your food comes from, you know, we're lost in a downward spiral of ill health. And then once, my idea is once they've captured the ill health of the population, then they can fire in the drugs, and you know, it's a cycle of death. And so it's like they're keeping us, they being big food and big pharma, keeping us sick with brain fog and bad digestive systems, and you know, the whole thing just is sucks to me. You know, it stinks of corruptness. Whereas if you turn around and look what's growing in my garden and what's growing on the pastures around the cities, that to me is food. Yeah. I can rant.
No, it's great. You know, it's quite complex when it comes back to people making individual choices, you know, and so as a, you know, health coach, strategist, people, you know, I get a sense that people really want to make change, okay? They want to feel better. People are sick to death of feeling that can like death. They really do want to feel better and different. But it can at times feel like there's an overwhelming number of obstacles in the way. And, you know, for you and I, you know, we think, oh, just do it. And there's an element of that. But there is also, you know, I talked to Dr. Glenn Livingston last week, I think. I did a podcast with him. And he's a psychologist who used to work for Big Food. And his job was to figure out how to make people eat more of this crap, you know? And he's written a book called Never Binge Again, which is free to everybody because that's part of his remorse for what he did in working in the food industry, because he has quite a significant amount of guilt about, you know, the techniques that they use and the psychological techniques they used and how they manipulated food to make people be addicted to it.
That just breaks my heart because I see it every day here. Yeah. And,
you know, I think the thing that breaks my heart is the feeling that people don't feel that that there's anything they can do about it. They don't feel that they can regain control. They don't see how it's possible to make other choices.
I think because it's so multi-layered, and at the bottom of it is the question of how can I afford to eat well. And that's another field that I'm really interested in sort of broadcasting, because you can eat well affordably, because you know, we're so used to eating a whole lot of food to get our nutrition. You know, if I'm carb based, or I'm based in the standard American diet, I'm going to have to need a lot of food to get all my nutrition. But if you're eating ancestrally, your food is so much more dense. So you don't need to eat a whole lot of food. You can concentrate your food into a small eating window, and you can also eat nutrient dense food. So your addiction to all the other stuff that's in the food, the processed food, gets removed. And it's like, it's just a matter of, because it's multi-layered, it's a matter of finding myself enough to turn around and go, I'm going to do this. And maybe finding some support. Like I've got a lot of people who ask me lots of questions, and who have leaned on me to help them change their diet. And it's beautiful to see people thriving and getting full, dense nutrition out of a very, very simple diet.
Yeah. And, you know, to your point, I mean, that's what they call the protein leverage theory or hypothesis, where our bodies crave nutrient density. They crave a certain amount of protein. if we're not getting enough protein, we're going to want to keep eating, and it won't matter how much we've eaten, we're still going to have that sense of being hungry until we've actually fulfilled our protein needs.
That's really interesting.
I believe that comes with all the vitamins and minerals and trace elements, as well as those amino acids. So I think that they're all essential. And when we're not getting enough of them, we are going to just keep craving food.
Yeah. I guess it's part of that, the guy that you interviewed I can't remember his name, last week, about how the food industry can actually get you, because their food isn't particularly nutrient dense.
Yeah.
It's high in things that are really toxic. Interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So back to ancestral eating, meat, organs, eggs, cheese, raw milk, seasonal fruit, that's all you need to eat. That's all you need to eat. That's right. Like, I'm 61 and I can cycle like a crazy person and walk up these beautiful hills that I live around with amazing recovery, drive to keep doing it the next day. It's like, wow, everyone needs to feel this way, You only have one life, and if you can live it to the maximum and the fullness, then you're going to have no regrets on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And your end of, and part of my motivation was to eat ancestrally, as the next 30 years of my life, I want to be robust, radical health. I want to be a leader in my field. I want to be positive, all that stuff that comes alongside eating this way. It's all about what goes in your mouth, I reckon.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And this sounds a little bit harsh, but there is an element of being an adult about this as well. And quite often I think we need to take an adult perspective to what we put in our mouth. Sometimes, and not wanting to offend anybody, but sometimes we revert back to being children and, I need my comfort, and, I can't give up this no matter how terrible this is for me. I couldn't possibly give this up.
It's really interesting, because that's what I mean about it being multi-layered. We as people are dynamic and complicated, and if we have the tools to come back to the body and rest in, but that's why I think yoga is really good for mainstream people. Let's just all do yin yoga. We can lie on the yoga mat, relax, breathe, and go right down into my body. What do I really need right now? It's not going to be the donut or the deep fried whatever. It's going to be maybe a glass of water that's filtered, or So I think that there's a lot to be said for stopping and breathing. It's all very new agey, but it's really, really useful. Think about the ancestral way that hunt, that eat, and that rest.
Absolutely.
That beautiful cycle: hunt, eat, rest.
Well, we do forget about recovery, and recovery is something that I'm always banging on about to people. And it's great to go out there and do all this stuff and be really vibrant, but you've got to remember, when you're doing it, your body is demanding more nutrients. It's not demanding more energy. It's not demanding more carbs or more fats. It's demanding nutrients. And if it doesn't get the nutrients, it has to get them from somewhere. So it breaks down all the healthy tissue to try and get the nutrients to keep your basic metabolic functions running properly. And
I think we're quite a hard species to kill. Like, we're a hard animal to kill. People can wander around the world, wander around their lives being really unwell and still alive.
And
that surprises me.
That's the fascinating thing. That's the thing that I love about it, is like how hard our body works to keep us alive.
Yeah.
By all the terrible things that we actually do to it, because if it was a car, it wouldn't have lasted this long, or
No. The one thing about I was listening to Dr. William Davies, the the wheat belly guy this morning on a podcast, and he was what was he talking about? Where did that come from? He was just talking about how the body, the toxins in, you know, things that are part of our everyday existence can destroy the gut. And so people are wandering around with really, really sick bodies, and they're prescribed a whole lot of things, a whole lot of drugs that are supposed to heal them and cover up their symptoms, and yet underneath is still this sickness going on, you know, gut permeability, and then it's all over. Basically, you've got brain problems and joint problems, and so healing the gut's really, really key. So ancestral eating is really, really the key for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we have quite a tendency to try and throw things at it. And, you know, we started off, we were talking about supplements, and it's not about being anti-supplement at all, because, you know, there's things like magnesium, which I think probably most people need to take. So there are things that we're just really are not getting enough of out of our food environment, even when we're eating really well. That's partly due to our soils and changes in the environment, and also because of our increased stress. So as soon as our stress increases, our need for these things becomes quite high. Yeah.
The thing about the standard American diet, and we chatted earlier before we went online about the supplements that are available now, and the pressure on people who don't really have an idea, but they're seeing this ad keep coming back to them on Facebook or socials, and it could be maybe a plant-based gut healer, or something like maybe turmeric that people can add into their diet for reducing inflammation. The thing with plant-based supplements, they can destroy the mineral uptake or reduce the mineral uptake of minerals for the body because of their toxic, because of the way they affect the gut.
Well, they can block, you know, gut receptors.
Yeah. And we're not told this, you know, we're told eat your plants and you're going to be a healthy person, but the flip side of that is too many toxic plants reduce the gut receptors for nutrients.
Yeah, well, people don't really understand how plants work, you know, and I mean, we use plants as medicine a lot, and, you know, I get frustrated because I'm always seeing these plants say, you know, superfoods and antioxidants and things like that. Well, a lot of plants actually work by being pro-oxidants.
Like turmeric, like curcumin.
Yeah, and then they upregulate our immune system. So they aren't really truly antioxidants, but they promote the antioxidant function in our body. But if we just constantly overdo it, you know, we end up just sort of degrading those systems. You know, you don't take antibiotics all the time. It helps for a purpose for a short period of time, and it's the same with many of these plants. And then they have so many other things added into them. And, you know, when people bring me a list of their supplements and then I look at what's in them, the number of times they're really overdosing on the same thing that they don't even realize has been added into the supplement. And they're in synthetic form. And at the moment, I mean, I'm having a big drive about zinc and vitamin D, because at the moment we're told, you know, with COVID, take zinc and vitamin D. And, you know, zinc blocks copper. Copper's essential for iron recycling, for ceruloplasmin. Vitamin D blocks vitamin A. Vitamin A, you know, is one of your most important.
Yep, absolutely. So that gets me to one of our products, which is liver, which is high in zinc, high in copper, high in vitamin A, and it's all in the right balance. So if you can either take liver once a week, or you can have our supplements, then you're going to get all those vitamins and minerals in the right order, in the right balance, in a 100% bioavailable form that's not going to damage your gut.
And I think that's something that's important, is talking about the bioavailability of food. And, we look at, if we talk about vitamin A and people say, well, I eat my carrots, so I get my beta carotene, the conversion rate is 12-1. So, I think I worked out you've got to eat about 48 carrots, to get 1 unit of retinol.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. You can't do it, like, you simply can't do it. And if you eat 48 carrots, you might be getting your beta carotene, but then what else are you missing out on? Whereas you're eating liver and organs, you're getting all those nutrients. Of course, not everybody wants to eat them. They're not always, haven't been a major part of our diet, probably, for a lot of people for a long time. And that's where your company and the supplements you're producing is making such a huge difference. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing to hear stories of people who have gone, this has changed my life, or I'm feeling like a real person again, and my arthritis is reducing, and my brain fog's gone, and I'm sleeping better. All those things that we really do need to be an optimal human, like sleep and no pain and good digestion, are just there by turning away from that food and eating ancestrally and eating your meat and organs. It's amazing.
So let's have a wee chat about what you have. I know you've got a whole lot of new products. You've got your liver, and then you've got your organ blends, which
I can show you. That's the liver. We call it Boost. And it's got a gold center, because we're now sourcing all our meat, all our organ products from regenerative farms in New Zealand. So we can basically trace it down to the farm, or the farms that were that have provided the food, the say in this case the liver on a specific day. So, and the company that we use are a really, really good company. They are they've got 70 farms up and down New Zealand. They care for their animals, and they care for their farmers, and they also care for the land. So I'm really happy to be sort of affiliated with these guys. So that's our regenerative Boost. Our organ mix, which is heart, liver, kidney, pancreas, and spleen. So the glands in this have specific function. And my understanding with glandular therapy, which is an old therapy, like it's ancient really in its wisdom, is that like supports like. And so the pancreas and the spleen are really important in our digestion and our immunity and supporting. So that's that, as well as the heart tissue with CoQ10. All those things are vital for us to be optimally human. So that's our organ mix. They're like, these should be in everybody's cupboard. Everybody needs to have these in their cupboard.
Well, I just think if you don't get your liver in or your organs in each week, those provide you another option, and I do a bit of a blend of both. I'm very lucky I get access to, fresh venison, liver and kidney, and so I eat that when I can. I get fresh venison, so I mix that with, I make my own mince with it, mix it with beef fat, and blend in the organs with it, and then you've got this really healthy, nutritious, meat. But not everybody is blessed with those as
being able to access that.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we can stand behind our products and know that it is really good stuff.
Yeah. Well, when I don't get my, if I'm not getting if for some reason I'm a bit short of my organ mates, well then I that's when I turn to your products and I use them as the replacements. So.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think the main thing about me as a person in this field is I really want people to be healthy. Like I'm not trying to make $1 billion. My main motivation is to live optimally and to pass on that knowledge that I'm gaining over these years. We're just about clicked over our 3rd year trading, and it's just fabulous. It really is. And we're sort of refining where we're getting our products from, and we're doing good things in this space.
It's excellent. So let's have a look at some of your other products. We were talking about your Ignite wheat.
Ignition, yeah. So brain.
Yeah. I bought a bottle of that way back and used it, and I thought, wow, that stuff is really good. And I've never got around to buying another bottle, but I really liked it. I felt that it made a difference.
It really does. There's a couple of companies on who are trying to get their feet in the industry as far as getting healthy and brain food. This is the best brain food. If you're feeding your brain with brain tissue, that's mammalian tissue it can go directly to your brain and support it. This one, it's high in the omega-3s, DHA and EPA. And on top of that, the studies have shown that when you take brain tissue, your brain actually, it supports the myelin sheaths. It makes I'm not really into the technical side of it, but it makes everything work a whole lot more efficiently. And
neurotransmitters.
So yeah, the neurotransmitters. So I take this every day, and I've been taking it since we started the company, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It's like everyone needs to have one of these in their cupboard as well. Yeah, we support a guy who has had a brain injury. He nearly died, and his brain, he had I'm not quite sure how I think he had a tumor in his brain, and they had him on the operating table, and they said, look, we just can't do anything. He's going to die in 24 hours. He didn't die. 3 years down the track, he is regaining his humor, his short-term memory, and he is taking this. And we are so happy to support him and his family, knowing that our product is helping him get back to normal. I don't think it'll ever be normal, once the brain has had an injury. But if you're going to support your brain, this is the best stuff.
Oh, well, that's
everything. Yeah,
that's a wonderful story. So you've got your Mojo products, Mojo for women and Mojo for men.
We don't have Mojo for men anymore because we couldn't get prostate. We just could not get prostate. The thing over COVID was all the regulations of on the slaughter chain were changed completely, and so in the slaughtering industry we now have less people on the chain, so there are a lot of things that are really crucial to us as a company, like prostate. They wouldn't harvest in adrenals and all those little tiny glands that take one extra person harvesting them. That doesn't happen anymore. And on the other side is that we have big companies in competition that pay big money and buy bulk, so our little company can't compete with that. So we've just got testes now in our manpower, testes, heart and liver. A lot of men are on this, and a lot of reviews are, people come back to me and say, this is great stuff. So I can only go, I don't take it. I can only go by what people have said, what men have said, and how it's really contributing to their increased testosterone levels. And if you're a man and you're feeling low in energy, and you just haven't got that drive and that vibe going, it's always good to support your testosterone levels with testes. Like the Liver King, I don't know whether everyone knows who the Liver King is. He eats them raw. He says this is the most important thing you can eat as a man. So yeah, testes. That's a lovely mix. And our women's mix, we've kind of refined it a little bit. We did have brain in it, but this, from feedback that we've had from people, we now have ovaries, placenta, and uterine tissue, but we also have mammary and spleen. So the things that a lot of women need is iron, and spleen is the most iron dense organ in the body, and mammary, because I get a lot of women postpartum who need support with their milk production. And so, yeah, this kind of mix seems to target and help and support a lot of people. It's good. Yeah. We're the only company, I can say this confidently, we are the only company selling glandulas that has placenta in their products. Yeah.
And have you had feedback, from perimenopausal, postmenopausal women?
Yeah. So the symptoms of menopause, we all know that there are hot flushes and mood swings and dryness. The feedback that I've got from women who are on this are it kind of targets all those things. They've said my mood swings are less, my hot flushes are less, and I've still got my libido. Like I'm no longer dry. I've still got a drive for sex, because a lot of women get to, I don't know, post-menopause and go, what is the point?
Yeah. Because
my body's not responding. I'm not feeling that desire anymore, and it's because your hormone levels have dropped and you're dry. So this product in some women has increased their lubrication and all their bits are nice and juicy still, which is good. It
is good. And I think it's, again, with with perimenopause and menopause, I talk to a lot of women in those situations, and, they're looking at hormone replacement therapies, which are fine and have their place, but it still don't really work properly until you get your underlying nutrition in order, and until you get your minerals back in order. And, so we're kind of, what you were saying before, we're kind of layering something on top, but the foundations are pretty rocky. And I call that, kind of hanging the curtains in the house, or putting in nice furniture, but your foundations are crumbling underneath. It looks good for a little while, but it doesn't last.
I think if you look at epigenetically, the way we have transitioned from generation to generation, we are a lot more symptomatic now than I think about my grandmother and my mother when they went through menopause. It was like, it wasn't talked about for starters, but because their foundations of less processed food and a whole lot more outdoor activity and more food from the garden, and those things contribute to a good foundation. And now we are third generation, locked in our rooms in front of the computer, taking drugs.
And stress.
Yeah.
Has a huge role. And, we stop making our estrogen and our sex hormones and our ovaries, as we get older. And so our adrenal glands are where we make those hormones. When our adrenal glands are constantly in fight and flight, all the resources are going to dealing with
the upregulation.
And we just don't have them available to deal with the kind of reproduction, or that or the parasympathetic kind of the digestion that we need for our gut. I mean, when we're in fight and flight, when our sympathetic drive is up, our digestion turns off. We don't get the blood flow to the gut, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah. And
So my recommendation for every woman is to lie on the yoga mat and do some breath work, or take yourself away to a retreat space where you've got time to recalibrate.
And I think things like getting outside in the morning sun and the morning light, it doesn't have to be sunshine, getting out, getting that morning light into your eyes, getting that evening light into your eyes. We need to go back to the circadian rhythm, you know, that we were talking about earlier, our daily circadian rhythm, our seasonal circadian rhythms, because that's what our body is in tune with our environment.
And this thing,
Yeah.
it needs to be turned off at, I don't know, 5 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock at night. Turn the thing off so that you've got time to wind down and drop out of fight or flight, so that you've got time to relax and breathe and get back into that, you know, beautiful down-regulated state. And don't turn it on again until 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, just have some space from it.
Yeah, I must admit, you know, well, mine does have I have a off switch on it, which I can still use it. And I'm not particularly good, but at least I'm not getting calls and things like that. They will get diverted. But I must admit, when I go off, you know, tramping for a few days or a weekend, or I go off the grid, and, you know, your brain goes, oh, well, there's no phones, so there's no point worrying about it. It's a totally different experience. And it's almost like, you know, a whole part of that being wired up is that connection with that damn phone, you know? And your whole life ends up being on your phone. Your work is on it, your social life is on it.
Yeah. It's all part of the big conspiracy. I don't know. I get grumpy with it. I just like turn it off, because I'm not going to die if it's turned off.
No.
I'm not going to miss anything if it's turned off. It also ruins communication. Like, I'll sit in the morning and on the floor, cross-legged, and Martin will sit on the floor, cross-legged as well, when we have our morning drink. And it's so nice to just look at each other in the eye and breathe together and talk, rather than have our phones on. You know, it's just such a distraction to life. It really is.
Oh, it beeped. I need to answer that. I'm going to I've got someone lined up to interview about that very topic, actually.
Oh, wow.
Who's talking about, you know, how addicted we are to that beep of the phone. And he talks about how we even imagine that it beeps when it hasn't beeped. We're like, gee, I'm sure I heard my phone beep.
Yeah. So I have mine off all the time. I have my volume off all the time. So I miss calls. I never get beeped, because I hate it. So I just have it off.
Nice.
We've been talking for a while. It's nearly 12 o'clock.
Yeah. What other new products have you got there, Janet?
Well, we have got, and this is one thing that I've responded from people saying we want thyroid.
Oh,
so
good.
we have a thyroid product, which is hold on, what does it say? We've got 30 milligrams of thyroid and 470 milligrams of liver. So it's a thyroid liver mix. And the feedback's been really positive.
Great.
Someone said that they are using it as well as their thyroid medication. Which is really cool. So, and it's another thing is offering a different product. We get a whole new bunch of clients, of customers who are looking to change from medication to a natural therapy. So that's really cool. Bone and marrow. We've got 11 products, and I think that's what we're going to do. You know, you could keep going and make mixes, and the idea for our company was that we would have each individual organ in a pot rather than mixing them. And the other companies do mix their products specifically for health issues. And I thought that if we had them individually in pots, then people could choose what they wanted to do as far as their health stat goes.
I think
Great.
that's a nice idea, and it gives you a better way of monitoring and seeing what's working for you as well.
Yeah.
I
So
think
this is bone and marrow, so it's a long bone dried. So it's got everything. It's got lots of minerals in it, which is good. And that's it. Oh, and the kiwi burn, which is the tallow.
yeah.
And there's a lot online on our website, and I think there's a circulating ad at the moment where I was interviewed by some guys in the Coromandel who have a boot camp.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, they just sort of swear by it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for keeping on doing the wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you. I absolutely love what I do.
For everyone listening today, Janet gives me, I've got a discount code, so you put Susan 15 in and you'll get a 15% discount off your first order. And then I know Janet's very generous and continued orders with her discounts, but that just gives you that little extra bit of help.
It's not hugely expensive, and most of them are a month that we sort of prescribe a month's worth. So with Boost, we encourage you to take 6 capsules a day, breaking it in slowly, and then there's 180 caps in a pot. So if you're not into cooking liver and you want to try our product, it's easy. It's only a month, like it's a commitment for a month, and then you can not have it again if you don't want to.
Well, I think it's excellent. I recommend it to my clients. You'll find that you'll see Homegrown Primal pop up in my blogs and things quite a bit on my site as well. So I thought it'd be really nice just to do another interview with you, and so people can see your face and hear the voice.
Oh, that's cool. It's always lovely to speak to you. You know, I remember when we first started, and you introduced yourself to us, and since then we've been using you as a functional consultant, medical consultant, and I refer people who come to me with questions to you too. So it's a sort of very beneficial, mutually beneficial relationship. So I really appreciate everything that you do in this space as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we're all working together for the same thing.
Oh, we are. Yeah. Longevity, healthy lifestyle, all that stuff.
And I want all my clients to ooze what you're oozing, you know.
Aww, thank you.
Enthusiasm and energy, and love for life. So thanks, Janet. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing your products again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.